Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden treasures that might be sitting right in your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most iconic coins in American history, the 1972 Kennedy half dollar. At first glance, it might seem like just another old 50-cent piece. But what if I told you that some versions of this coin could actually be worth tens of thousands of dollars today? Yes, you heard that right. This seemingly ordinary coin could turn out to be a life-changing find. So grab your coins and get ready, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for. Let's start with a bit of history. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy, following his tragic assassination the previous year. Americans everywhere wanted to honor him, and this coin quickly became one of the most beloved pieces of U.S. currency. By 1972, the Kennedy half dollar had already become a symbol of patriotism, pride, and remembrance, a piece that carried both emotional and historical value. Now, let's talk about the 1972 edition in particular. This was a year of change in the U.S. Mint. By this time, the coin was no longer made with any silver. Instead, it was composed of copper nickel clad, which made it more durable for everyday use but less valuable in melt content. However, that doesn't mean collectors aren't interested. Quite the opposite. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar is one of the more fascinating coins because of the small differences, errors, and varieties that can make it incredibly valuable today. The obverse side of the coin features the familiar portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. His confident profile represents leadership and legacy, a design so strong that it remains nearly unchanged even today. On the reverse side, you'll find the presidential seal, the majestic bald eagle clutching an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and strength. Surrounding the design are 50 stars, representing each state of the United States. Every detail of this coin reflects American pride, history, and artistry. Now, what makes some 1972 Kennedy half dollars so valuable? The secret lies in their mint marks, condition, and rare errors. Most of these coins were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each with its own characteristics. The coins from San Francisco, especially those struck for proof sets, are the most visually stunning, with mirror-like finishes and sharp details. But here's where it gets interesting. Certain minting mistakes from this year can turn a regular 50-cent piece into a collector's dream. One of the most desirable versions is the 1972 D double die obverse, where you can see doubling on the inscriptions, Liberty, or In God We Trust. These double die errors occurred when the coin was struck twice slightly out of alignment, creating a fascinating doubled appearance that collectors go crazy for. Another rare feature that adds value is finding a 1972 half dollar with an exceptionally high-grade condition, coins that have been preserved perfectly without any scratches, wear, or dullness. Such pristine coins are extremely hard to come by, especially since most half dollars were used frequently in circulation. The grading of the coin is crucial. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as MS65 or higher can sell for significant amounts of money. The higher the grade, the sharper the details, and the better the luster, and that means more value to collectors. Uncirculated coins kept in protective holders, proof coins from mint sets, and especially any with visible errors can bring in eye-popping prices. Collectors also love varieties where small design or lettering changes occurred. For example, slight differences in the spacing of the lettering, the look of Kennedy's hair, or the sharpness of the eagle's feathers can all distinguish rare varieties from common ones. It's these subtle details that make coin collecting both thrilling and rewarding. So before you overlook that old Kennedy half dollar sitting in your drawer, take a closer look. Check for mint marks, a small D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mark for Philadelphia. Examine the lettering closely for doubling. Look at the shine, the color, and any unique features that make your coin stand out. You might just be holding a hidden gem without even realizing it. Now for the moment everyone's been waiting for. How much could a rare 1972 Kennedy half dollar actually be worth? Well, here's the exciting part. If you happen to have one of these coins in pristine, uncirculated condition, or one with a striking mint error, its value could reach an incredible $45,000. Yes, you heard that right. $45,000 for a single Kennedy half dollar. That's enough to turn your spare change into a serious payday. Top 2. Today's journey takes us deep into one of America's most recognizable and respected coins, the 1986 Kennedy half dollar. You might have seen this coin hundreds of times and never thought twice about it. But what if I told you that some of these 1986 half dollars are secretly worth a staggering amount of money today? Stay tuned till the end because we'll reveal just how much this coin could be worth. And trust me, you don't want to miss that number. The Kennedy half dollar has always been more than just a piece of currency. It's a tribute, a legacy, and a slice of American history. First minted in 1964 to honor the beloved President John F. Kennedy after his assassination, the coin quickly became one of the most treasured designs in U.S. coinage. Even decades later, collectors are still drawn to it for its beauty, its symbolism, and its connection to one of the most iconic figures in U.S. history. By 1986, the world was changing rapidly. Technology was advancing, the Cold War was easing, and the U.S. Mint continued to produce the Kennedy half dollar as a reminder of national pride and unity. The 1986 edition carried forward the same powerful design that Americans had come to love. But hidden among those millions of coins are a few special ones that hold extraordinary collector value today. Let's talk about the design first. On the front of the 1986 Kennedy half dollar, we have the classic portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. His confident and dignified profile captures the spirit of leadership and courage that defined his legacy. Just beneath his chin, you'll see the initials GR, a small but important signature of the artist who created this timeless design. Flip the coin over and you'll find the presidential seal, an American bald eagle with wings spread wide, clutching an olive branch in one talon and arrows in the other. Above the eagle's head, a circle of stars symbolizes the unity of the 50 states. Surrounding the entire design are the words United States of America and half dollar. Every element of this coin was made to remind people of strength, hope, and freedom. Now, while the design itself stayed consistent, the true excitement begins when we look at the minting process and the variations that occurred. In 1986, Kennedy half dollars were minted in 3 main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, the Denver coins have a small D, and the San Francisco proofs carry an S. Most of these coins were struck in copper nickel clad, meaning they contain no silver. But the proof coins made in San Francisco were of exceptional quality, with deep mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs. However, what really makes some 1986 Kennedy half dollars worth a fortune are the rare mint errors and pristine conditions that have survived the decades. Some examples of valuable variants include double die strikes, where the inscriptions or details appear doubled due to a misalignment during minting. This can often be seen in the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," or even the date, 1986. Another exciting variety is the off-center strike, where the design is noticeably shifted to one side, leaving a blank crescent of metal visible. Coins like these are extremely collectible because they are one-of-a-kind mistakes that escaped quality control at the U.S. Mint. Even more fascinating are the coins that show die cracks or other unique imperfections. These tiny irregularities make them distinct and highly sought after. Collectors love these anomalies because they turn a common coin into something truly special. Condition, of course, is everything. Most of the 1986 half dollars were used in circulation, tossed into cash drawers or stored in coin jars for decades. Finding one that has remained untouched, free from scratches, and still shining with its original mint luster is a real challenge. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher by professional grading services can command a serious premium. The better the grade, the higher the price climbs, especially if the coin features a rare error or unusual die variety. Another area where value spikes is with the 1986 S-proof coins. These were struck with extreme precision and were intended for collectors, not general circulation. if one of these proof coins has remained in flawless, untouched condition, with that mirror-like shine still intact, it could fetch thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands, depending on demand and rarity. So, before you dismiss that old $50 sitting in your drawer, grab a magnifying glass and take a good look. Check the mint mark, inspect the details, and look for any doubling, cracks, or striking errors. The Kennedy $50 series is known for its surprises, and one of them might be waiting right in your hands. And now, for the part you've all been waiting for. How much could a rare 1986 Kennedy $50 actually be worth? Well, if you happen to own one of these coins in near perfect, uncirculated condition or with a rare minting error, it could be worth an astonishing $75,000. Yes, you heard that right. $75,000 for a single Kennedy $50. That's the kind of hidden treasure that turns collectors into millionaires overnight. Top 3 today, we're diving into a modern classic, the United States of America Kennedy $50 from the year 2000. Now, you might think that coins from the 2000s aren't really old enough to be valuable, but here's the twist. Some of these coins have secret details and minting errors that can turn an ordinary 50-cent piece into a collector's dream worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. So stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll know why the 2000 Kennedy $50 is one coin you should never overlook. Let's rewind a bit and talk about how we got here. The Kennedy $50 was first introduced in 1964, just months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It was more than just a coin. It was a national tribute, a symbol of hope, and a piece of history that Americans were proud to hold in their hands. Fast forward to the year 2000, and this coin was still going strong, carrying with it over 3 decades of legacy, patriotism, and admiration. By the year 2000, the Kennedy $50 had gone through many changes. The composition had shifted to copper nickel clad instead of silver, and most of these coins were no longer used in everyday circulation. In fact, the mint primarily produced Kennedy $50 in limited quantities for collectors rather than for general use. That means that finding a 2000 $50 in your change is already a bit special. But finding the right one, in perfect condition or with a rare error, could make you incredibly lucky. The obverse of the coin features that familiar, timeless image of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. His confident, youthful face captures the energy of the 1960s and the enduring spirit of leadership that defined his legacy. The word liberty arcs across the top, while the year 2000 rests boldly below his neck. The phrase, "In God we trust," reminds us of the values that have shaped this great nation. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted by the powerful image of the presidential seal, the American bald eagle, wings spread proudly, clutching arrows in one talon and an olive branch in the other. It's surrounded by 50 stars and the inscriptions, United States of America, and $50. This design, created by Frank Gasparo, represents strength, unity, and freedom, qualities that have made this coin not just currency, but a collectible work of art. Now, let's talk about the real excitement. What makes some 2000 Kennedy $50 so valuable? The key lies in mint marks, condition, and, of course, minting errors. The 2000 Kennedy $50 was struck at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, bearing the P and D mint marks respectively. There were also special proof versions made in San Francisco with an S mint mark, and these proof coins, especially in perfect condition, are highly sought after by collectors. But here's where things get really interesting: minting errors. Some 2000 Kennedy $50 have double die obverse errors, where you can see slight doubling on the inscriptions, particularly on Liberty or In God We Trust. Others show off center strikes, broad strikes, or even planchet errors where the coin wasn't struck correctly. These minting mistakes are like hidden signatures from the mint's production process, and collectors are willing to pay big money for them because they're one of a kind. Condition is another huge factor. Coins that are still in mint state, meaning they've never been used, never been scratched, and still have that original shine, are worth far more than circulated ones. Grading services like PCGS or NGC carefully examine these coins and assign them grades from MS60 all the way up to MS70. A coin graded MS70 is considered perfect, flawless under magnification, and those are the ones that attract premium buyers. Now here's something a lot of people don't know. In the year 2000, the US Mint also produced a small number of special, silver-proof, Kennedy half dollars made from 90% silver for collectors. These coins were not released into general circulation, so if you happen to find one, it's already rare. And if it's still in perfect, mirror-like condition, you might be holding something worth much more than 50 cents. Collectors today are paying thousands for high-grade examples and even more for rare mint errors. The market for modern coins has exploded in recent years, and the Kennedy half dollar, with its deep history and beautiful design, has become a centerpiece of that trend. So before you toss aside that 2000 half dollar sitting in your change jar, take a closer look. Check the mint mark. Hold it under good light and look closely at the lettering, the rim, and the details of Kennedy's hair. You never know what you might find. One tiny variation, one small error, or one perfectly preserved example could turn your ordinary coin into something extraordinary. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. How much could a rare 2000 Kennedy half dollar actually be worth? Well, brace yourself, because if you have one of these coins in flawless, uncirculated condition or with a rare minting error, its value could skyrocket to an unbelievable $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. $80,000 for a single Kennedy half dollar from the year 2000. That's the kind of find that turns ordinary collectors into legends overnight. Top 4 today. We're taking a closer look at one of the most legendary coins in American history, the United States of America Kennedy half dollar from the year 1973. You might think this coin is just another old half dollar, but some rare varieties of the 1973 Kennedy half dollar have shocked collectors with their incredible value. So stick around till the end, because we're going to reveal what makes this coin so special, what errors to look for, and how one could be worth an unbelievable amount of money today. The Kennedy half dollar is more than just a coin, it's a powerful piece of history. First minted in 1964 as a tribute to the late President John F. Kennedy, it became one of the most cherished coins in America almost instantly. By 1973, the Kennedy half dollar had already become an American icon, representing leadership, hope, and unity. But what's fascinating about the 1973 edition is that it came at a time when the US Mint made several major changes to the series. And that's where the story gets exciting. By 1973, the Mint had completely stopped using silver and regular half dollars. The earlier versions from 1964 contained 90% silver, and the coins from 1965 to 1970 had 40% silver. But by the early 1970s, the Mint switched entirely to copper-nickel clad. That means that all 1973 Kennedy half dollars were made of a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel, giving them their distinctive silvery shine. Now, here's a detail that most people don't know. The 1973 Kennedy half dollar was never released for circulation. That's right. The US Mint struck these coins only for collector sets, known as mint sets and proof sets. They weren't sent out into the public like regular coins, which makes them much rarer to find in the wild. So if you ever come across a 1973 Kennedy half dollar, it likely came from a collector's set, and that already makes it special. Let's talk about the design. On the front of the coin, you'll find the bold and elegant portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. His confident expression symbolizes the leadership and optimism that inspired a generation. The inscriptions, "Liberty in God We Trust," and the year, 1973, surround the portrait, giving the coin its timeless look. Turn the coin over, and you're met with the majestic presidential seal, designed by Frank Gasparo. It features the American bald eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, representing both strength and peace. The eagle is surrounded by 50 stars, symbolizing the unity of the states. Above it, you'll see the words, United States of America, and below, half dollar. It's one of the most recognizable and powerful designs in US coinage. Now, let's dive into what really makes the 1973 Kennedy half dollar worth serious money: rarity, condition, and errors. Since these coins weren't meant for circulation, most of them were kept in collector sets. But over the years, some coins were separated, mishandled, or even spent unknowingly. Finding one in untouched, original, mint state condition is becoming more and more difficult, and that's exactly what collectors want. The better the condition, the higher the value. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as MS65 or higher can fetch impressive prices, especially when they still have their original luster. But the real treasures are the error coins. Some 1973 Kennedy half dollars have striking mistakes that make them incredibly rare. These can include double die errors, off-center strikes, missing details, or planchet errors where the metal blank was flawed before striking point. One of the most famous errors to look for is the double die obverse, where parts of the design, like Liberty or In God We Trust, appear doubled. Another type of rare error is when the coin was struck on a wrong planchet, meaning it was accidentally made on a blank intended for another coin, such as a quarter or dollar. These types of errors are extremely uncommon, but if you happen to find one, the value skyrockets instantly. Proof coins from 1973 are also highly sought after. These were struck in San Francisco with an S mint mark, using specially polished dies to give the coins a mirror-like surface and sharp details. A perfect proof coin with a deep cameo finish, meaning the design is frosty and the background is reflective, can bring in big money. Collectors are particularly interested in 1973 Kennedy half dollars because they represent a transitional period in U.S. coin history. They're a link between the older silver era coins and the modern clad issues we see today. That blend of nostalgia, rarity, and beauty is what makes them so collectible and so valuable. So, if you happen to have a 1973 Kennedy half dollar, don't ignore it. Take a close look at the mint mark. You'll find either a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or none for Philadelphia. Inspect the coin for any doubling, minting mistakes, or signs of high-grade preservation. What looks like an ordinary half dollar could actually be hiding a fortune in your hands. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value reveal. A rare 1973 Kennedy half dollar, in flawless uncirculated condition or featuring a unique minting error, has been known to sell for as much as $90,000. Yes, you heard that right, $90,000 for a single 1973 Kennedy half dollar. That's an unbelievable amount for a coin most people would overlook. So, before you spend that half dollar or toss it into your change jar, give it another look. It could be your ticket to a small fortune. If you enjoyed learning about this rare and valuable coin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next big coin discovery. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting. Your next coin might just make you rich.